Happy New Year to everybody. This is the first Q&A of the year. This is the Q&A for January 2020, although I'm a day late, but I just wanted to give everybody time because leave it to me to forget to let everybody know of the Q&A. I tend to do this a lot. It's something gotta get the hang of here. So, sorry about that being a day late, but January 2020 Q&A. So, we have plenty of questions to go through. If you have any questions you would like to ask me for the Q&A, you would like for me to answer, please leave them in the comment section down below in this video, or if you're on Discord, you can private message me them, and I will answer them as well for next month's Q&A. So, also, if there are any questions that I forget, just let me know, because there may be some that I might accidentally miss, and if I do, for one, I apologize for that, and I will get it on the next month's Q&A. So, just wanted to give everybody a heads up. So, if I did forget any questions, be sure to let me know, and I will answer them next month. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, the first question is by Elizabeth McAden, and she asks, it's good that you're using that to let people know that you're for a more mature audience. Now, that is in reference to the whole Kappa ordeal. To ask a question, if something were to happen to Nora, how would Ren feel? Well, chapter 13 of volume 7 kind of sums that up, but I feel like Ren himself, he would probably just fall apart. I mean, if you look at how Ren and Nora, how they basically had to fend for themselves as they grew up, I mean, losing their hometown, their families. Then again, Nora was already an orphan by the time that her and Ren had met, anyways. But think of it is that when you have this whole issue here, I don't think Ren would be able to survive without Nora, and I think that goes vice versa. I don't think Nora would be able to survive without Ren. I mean, yeah, if anything, they have friends, of course, but they're more like a family, considering that they had to protect one another and help one another as they grew older. So I feel like Ren himself, I just don't think he'd know how to live going forward. I think that he would just be lost. But yeah, so going on to the next part of the question. Also, Sonic versus Salem, who wins? Sonic wins easy. I mean, that's, that's not a question. I mean, like, if you were to take the power scaling of Salem versus Sonic, Sonic wins. I mean, he can survive on galactic scales. I mean, he can survive in space. I mean, Salem, all she does is what? Sit in her throne room trying to tell everyone what to do. She's just all like, yes, my flying monkeys, go and create chaos amongst everyone. I mean, that's about it. I mean, if you think about it, Salem, that's all she does. She just sits there and she's useless. Now, I can't spoil anything for Ruby Volume 7, Chapter 13, but yeah. Salem's been utterly useless. That's Salem for you in a nutshell. That's all she does. Sonic also has Supersonic. I mean, what would prevent him from throwing Salem out into space for her to just basically get stuck in space, gasp for air? Basically, I guess you could say she could become like the Cars of Ruby at that point. I mean, that would be quite hilarious, if anything. Just to see her just wishing for death the entire time, that'd be funny. Like Cars did. But going on to the next part of her question. Another question. What would have happened if Saitama was at the fall of Beacon? Well, Beacon wouldn't fall at that point, I can guarantee you that. Unless Saitama just punched it, then it would probably fall. But, yeah, Saitama would just beat everybody. I mean, he would simply straight up just beat everyone. Nobody would stand a chance against Saitama. I just see like every other character basically being like all the other heroes within One Punch Man. And then with them having their struggles, you have Saitama come in and just one punch them and save them. That's some of the way I see it basically going down. In the next part of her question, also Saitama versus the gods, who wins? Saitama. That's plain and simple. Somebody that's faster than the speed of light can one punch anything and not have to take it seriously at all. Yeah, Saitama wins. What do you have out of these gods? All right, they're petty, they're selfish, and they just want to outdo each other. So yeah, the gods would be easily beaten. I mean, of course, they'd probably try to Thanos snap Saitama out of existence, and then he'd go all Soka, and then he'd just punch him, and they'd be dead. So yeah, no, Saitama would win because the gods are just completely useless characters that are just stupid. So yeah, Saitama would win. And Saitama's a gag character. And some of you may know how gag characters work in anime. They, you know, are pretty overpowered sometimes in hilarious ways. I mean, look at Arale from Doctor Slump, for example. Like, whenever she appeared in Dragon Ball Super for a filler episode, and she split the Earth in two. That was quite hilarious. I mean, she was just like overpowered. But then again, that's the point of a gag character. So Saitama would easily defeat the Brother Gods. Just no question. No question at all. So moving on to the next question. Julian R. asked, do you like Raven from DC? I bought a new book about her and it was good. Yes, Raven, I do like her character. She was actually my favorite Teen Titan, in fact. So, yeah, Raven was awesome. I mean, her whole story with her father as well. I mean, and her having to overcome him was excellent. Although, back in the 70s and 80s, there was a weird comic back in the day regarding Raven. It was uh just really bizarre because the writer of the comic at that time made a self-insert of himself, and then he married Raven's character. Then, of course, the romance didn't work later on, and then she got divorced from the guy. But yeah, it was weird. It was a weird time. Let's put it like that. But yes, Raven is my favorite of the Teen Titans. If you go back to the 2003 series, yeah, I loved Raven. Raven is great. So yeah, Raven, fantastic character. Always loved her character. She was great in my opinion. Still is to this very day. So moving on to the next question, Ian Kreider asks, have you played Octopath Traveler? Even if you haven't, who would be your personal protagonist out of the 8 main characters? I haven't. I've been wanting to play the game for so long now. I love the whole concept of Octopath Traveler. I love that they came up with that for the Switch. I mean, seriously, I want to play it so bad. But if I had to say, out of the 8 characters, I would have to go with the dancer. I actually think that she has a really cool, unique ability to basically gather more people to follow her to use, and they can be used in combat. I mean, I think that's actually a really cool idea. But yeah, I would have to say the dancer, and yeah, I do actually plan to get Octopath Traveler soon. So, there's that. I mean, it feels like there's just never enough time to do everything you want to do. And, man, if I could just get around to doing it, that would be one of the best things in the world. I think we could all say we'd love to have more time in a day, am I right? The next question is by Christopher Capers Jones, and Christopher asks, what is the most traumatic experience you've ever been personally involved in? Okay, so in terms of that, I'm not going to get too big into that. A couple of things, though, I will at least say in this whole thing. I'll share a little story. But, so to give you kind of a clear picture, my childhood was not the best. I had a lot of things happen in my childhood that really molded me to being the person I am today. A lot of very terrible things happened that I'd really rather just keep private. But when it came to my teen years, a couple things. One, when I was a teenager was the very first time that I ever lost a friend. He died in a car accident, and it was very traumatic for me. It was so traumatic, in fact, I couldn't drive for a while. I was afraid to drive, and I was even afraid to just sit in a car. And that's how bad it actually traumatized me. That's how bad I was stressed out over it, and having depression and anxiety already, and then losing my own best friend to top that off when I didn't have very many friends to begin with. It was very intense for me. He was like a brother to me because we had grown up together, and we were like family to one another. And for him to go at such a young age, it was just very traumatic experience. I remember his funeral. I was even a pallbearer for his funeral, and it sticks with me to this very day. It's something you can't forget. But, it made me want to live longer, not just for myself, but for him as well. That's, big thing there. But also, another big story here is when I was 18 years old, uh, you know, I was stupid. And I got engaged when I was 18. And, that was probably one of the biggest mistakes I had ever made in my life because the woman I was engaged to, we had dated for a little while. And, I thought I loved her. I thought that we were going to have a life together. I mean, we were engaged and I was ready to move in with her. I mean, there was a lot of planning there. And it was about 2 months before it ended that things started to seem off because what I started to notice was she would hang out with one of my friends. Now, mind you, he was one of my friends, not anymore. But the thing is that my friend would act very suspicious. He would act like, everything was fine, but yet he would be very secretive towards me. And I thought, that's really strange. That is odd that he's acting this way. And he would lie to me a lot. And I just thought, why would you lie to me? Why? What's the reason for that? So, of course, I found out through a friend of ours that he had told my friend that he was actually dating my fiance and that I had a problem because I had liked my fiance, but she didn't feel the same about me. And that I was mad they were in a relationship. It was just one big drama storm. And it infuriated me because I was like, dude, I was like, that's not true at all. I was like, that's my fiance. And, my friend was like, oh, God, I can't believe he's doing that. And she broke it off with me. And talk about me exploding. It was awful because I figured it all out, and I went off on her. I went off on him. It was really bad. It was really really bad. And later on, a few months later, she wanted to talk to me about the whole thing. And I had come to the realization by that time that she had never loved me at all. And I just told her I knew what she was going to say, and I was right in the end, and made her mad, of course, but you know I knew what she was going to say in the end, and that's the big thing. That really traumatized me in terms of relationships. It was a very huge, just destructive experience, and had a hard time with relationships since that point because at that point, how could you really trust people? And with how I really cared about her and trusted her, of course, that just destroyed me. And then, of course, one of my good friends. I mean, he was a close friend. And I'd say he was one of my best friends. And he just completely betrayed me. And it just destroyed me. And funny thing is, he actually said that, I was like a brother to him. Yeah, some brother I guess I was, right? Because he'd go so far as to take my own woman from me. Yeah, that's real good friend there. It was one of the worst things that happened. I went through a very deep spiraling depression after that. I mean, it really affected me drastically. It was bad for my health. I mean, there was a week in that time that I'm not even kidding. I didn't even go anywhere. I didn't even do anything for a week. I hardly even ate. I mean, it was awful. I remember that. That was one of the worst weeks of my entire life. But, of course, a lot of things changed. A lot of things happened after that changed a lot of things, but, it was just awful. Like, it was one of the worst things ever happened to me, and ever since then I had like severe trust issues, and I still have pretty good trust issues to this very day. you know but that was That was just a bad turn of events, something that obviously never should have happened, and it really sucked. But yeah, that was probably one of the biggest traumatic events, but it really shaped me as a person, and I grew from it, and you know that's the thing. It's just how you handle things in the end, and I'd say I learned a lot from that one experience for certain. But yeah, it kind of gives you an idea of things. So moving on to the next question. Ian Kreiner asks, have you ever played Octopath Traveler? Even if you haven't, who would be your personal protagonist out of the 8 main characters? I haven't been able to. I want to really bad. Because that game just looks absolutely amazing. I would love to play it. But if I had to say out of the 8 main characters who my personal protagonist would be, I would say it'd be the dancer. I like her ability to be able to gather other followers to help you fight in battle. That would be very, very useful, if anything. So I have to say that would be a very, very amazing thing to be able to do. So, moving on to the next question, Assault Shaker asks, I have some questions for you, Nick. What introduced you into anime, and what are your 10 most favorite anime of all time? And what do you think of my comment series called Stupid But Epic Battles of History? So, when it came to anime, back in the early 90s, about early to mid 90s is when I got into it. I'd say it was mid 90s. I got into Dragon Ball, and that's what started it. It was Dragon Ball, and then I watched the original 1979 Gundam. Then I watched Pokemon. It was just great. Got into like a bunch of other stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, there were tons of anime. Sailor Moon as well, the Tenchi series. I mean, there was a lot of anime I got into because of that. And, a lot of that actually inspired my own artwork as well. So my art is very similar to that, and it's great. And in terms of like my favorite anime of all time, like my top 10, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't think I could give like a specific numbered order right now because there's a lot of great series, but I love Steins Gate. That series is one of the best I've ever seen. Revolutionary Girl, Utena, gotta thank Fluke for that. He got me into that anime. Good God, that series is phenomenal. Like, you want to talk about a fantastic series, that one's it. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because it is just great. My favorite parts are part 2 and part 5. Love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And, go experience Requiem being the best stand ever to exist. And, Funny Valentine being best villain. Like, oh man, great series. I love Yu Yu Hakusho. It's so good. It's Yoshihiro Togashi's baby. That is such a fantastic series. If you haven't ever watched it, you definitely should. It's so good. Melancholy of Haruhi Suzume. That is another good anime I love to death. Code Geass. God, I love Code Geass. Like when it comes to mecha, I'm a fan of mecha anime too. Code Geass has nightmares, which are the mechas in it. So good, but the characters are fantastic. Like Lelouch is one of my all-time favorite protagonists ever, and I think it has one of the best anime arcs of all time, which is the final arc to Code Geass. It's also good. And then C2, Colin, best girls for sure. Just so many good things about Code Geass I could say. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood because it's Full Metal Alchemist. I mean, what more do I need to say, right? I mean, my favorite characters are Roy Mustang and Greed. I mean, Roy Mustang, he's the best in my opinion. I mean, the scene where he is just killing Lust is, oh man, oh, that is one of the most iconic moments in all of anime history to me. Is when he is just keeps blowing her up until she finally dies in the end. But man, oh, that was so good, so good. But yeah, I mean, such a fantastic series. Also, what else is another good anime I really enjoy? You know, I really do love Hunter x Hunter. That series is fantastic as well. Another one of Yoshihiro Togashi's fantastic works. Has like one of the best villains ever created in fiction, which is Meruem. I mean, You can try to fight me all you want. Meruem is one of the all-time best, not just villains, just characters I think fictionally ever created. Meruem is, good God, his character's great, and his character arc was so just expertly done. I mean, you want to talk about a well planned out character development for a villain character. Yeah, the Chimera Ant arc that sums it up. I mean, wow, just wow. So yeah, that's another one of my favorites. What else could I think of that's another favorite of mine? Oh, I do love Maria Holic. That series is so good. Like, I would recommend that, but like, you got to be really into otaku culture to get it, because there's a lot of Japanese jokes in there that is a part of their culture, and then of course they have a lot of references to anime. So you'd have to kind of have watched a lot of anime and understand their culture to really get a lot of the jokes and stuff. But yeah, that series is way too good. I love Maria Holic. I think it's very underrated as a series, but man, that fantastic. Also love Food Wars. I've really just gotten myself into that series. I just love Food Wars. Like, the more I watch that series and read the manga, the more I love it. Oh, it's so good. So good. The characters are fantastic in that series. And the food makes you just like starve yourself, because some of that food looks just appetizing. Just, dear God, it looks so good. But yeah. But those are some of the anime. I don't know. There are several I could continue. Oh, Outlaw Star. Outlaw Star. That series is good. That's awesome. And Cowboy Bebop also. Like, those are two fantastic series of the 90s. Like, two of the best, in fact. I love them. I love them to death. And also, listening to their openings, they're so good. Oh, man. If you haven't ever watched Cowboy Bebop or Outlaw Star, you're really missing out. Two fantastic series. But yeah, good question though. Definitely a very good question. Ian Kreider asked another question. Out of all the original Fate Stay Night female leads, which girl was your favorite? I have to say Rin. Rin was my favorite. But again, I am a fan for Tsunderes. I am a sucker for them. Them and Yandere's both. So there's that. I mean, Artoria, she's cool. Don't get me wrong. But I'm more into Mordred. I'm more of a Mordred fan. Mordred is actually my all-time favorite Fate character. Like, I love Mordred. But that's just me. So, GK01 Reconnect asked, how are you liking the Babylonia anime so far? I think it's actually really fun. I really like it. Ishtar, she is definitely waifu material. Gotta love Ishtar. And Gilgamesh, man. Gilgamesh, I'm so glad to see him, because Gilgamesh is one of my all-time favorite characters in all of Fate. He is so good. I enjoy Gilgamesh. He is awesome. I just find his character fun, and just, he's awesome. Oh man, you want to talk about an awesome character that's badass? It's Gilgamesh. He's best boy, 100%. Good question. Very good question. Next question here is Tamara Socha. Can you do more anime reviews? Yes, I can. If anybody wants me to review something, just let me know, and whether I've seen it or not, I'll review it. If I haven't watched it, then I will watch it and then give my thoughts on it. I mean, maybe if I haven't watched it, then I could give it on like a episode by episode review, like maybe like a weekly or every other week or so thing. That would be kind of cool to do. Just let me know. I mean, if you'd like for me to, just throw a suggestion out there and I will. I do have a plan for one I do plan to review in the future. So, and it's one that I really enjoy, and one that has zero retcons. None whatsoever. Fantastic series from start to finish. One that definitely is rewarding when you get through watching it. It's fantastic. But yeah, so that'll be something to definitely work on in the near future that I am excited to review. Something I've been very excited to review. In fact. All right. So we got more questions here. So the next question is by Inigo, and he asks, could you read the questions below in your SJW Twitter Puritan voice? No actual reason other than I think it would be funny. Yeah, sure. I'll read them. in that way.
Have you ever thought of adding screenshots of the questions of the Q&As?
Actually, yeah, I plan to do that soon. So there is going to be that. So I know this whole basic structure here has been there, but yes, actually in the future I do plan to do that. So there's that.
What is your favorite color?
Well, it's between red and black. They've always been my favorite colors, and they've always stood out to me. And I always think that red and black are like a beautiful color combination. It's one of my favorites. Another color combination I like is blue and white. Although red and black are my favorite colors, but just an example of blue and white are also another one of my favorite color combinations. But yeah, red and black are my favorite colors. So, but I guess another thing that has to do with it is my hair, because my hair is red. But yeah, red and black are my favorite colors, and I also wear red and black. So yeah, I like red and black.
Have you seen Hazbin Hotel and or Helluva Boss? If yes, what did you think about it? If not, I recommend it.
No, I actually haven't seen it. I have been recommended Has Been Hotel before, but I have not watched it yet. I haven't gotten around to, biggest thing is time restraints. If I had more time, I definitely would. But when I get the time, I will definitely watch it, and I'll let you know what I think about it, because I've been recommended it. So yeah, Helluva Boss, I haven't even heard anything about it, but since you're recommending it, yeah, I'll definitely give it a shot, because I have not even heard of that series. So yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Have you seen the recent Harley Quinn animated series? If yes, what do you think about it? If not, I recommend it. More so than HHHV.
Well, I haven't seen it. I've heard some things about it. I think one of the weirdest things to me that I've heard about it was the whole way it starts, the intro of the Joker saying "Hello, my fellow whites," and I was like, "Wait, what?" Which I've seen the clip of that, and I was like, "That's that okay." So that yeah, but yeah, no, I haven't seen it, but yeah, I'll give it a shot. Like I said, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I just haven't gotten around to watching it, so I'll check it out, see what I think of it.
Have you seen the Mystery Skulls miniseries? If yes, what do you think about it? If not, I recommend it.
I haven't. I haven't even heard of that series either. So I'll definitely give it a shot.
What do you think about 2020 so far?
2020. You know, it's not so bad so far, starting off. It's going to be interesting to see where things go throughout this entire year, but as of right now, it's looking pretty good. And I'm really hoping that this year turns out to be a really good year. But yeah, so far it's looking all right, and can't wait to see where it goes from here. I mean, hey, one thing I'm excited for is the Shadow Structure deck for Yu-Gi-Oh is coming out next month. Konami knows what I'm excited for, and they were like, "Hey, let's bring back one of your all-time favorite archetypes and give it extra support." 2020 is looking good. I'm liking it.
What would you say is the biggest flaw in the Mistral arc, volumes 4 through 5, and how would you fix it?
Oh boy, yeah. With Mistral, how would I fix Mistral? Well, for one, I feel like one of the biggest problems to Ruby was the time skip, because on the way there, I mean, I understand it's about the journey, but the thing is that the journey needs to go on. We need to see more of it. I think that when it comes down to it, one of the biggest things I said that I would do is I would have Ruby and Weiss be like the big focus for Volume 4, and then Volume 5 be Blake and Yang, so it would be more time to be able to focus on their respective journeys as well as the areas that they're, going to be venturing through. When it comes to Ruby, one of the biggest things that her and the rest of Ranger that they could have worked more on is the exploration of Mistral. One thing I probably would have done is kept Roman alive, because I feel like his death really hurt a lot of things, besides he's like the best villain in the entire series. But the thing of it is that I would have kept him alive, because I would have had him be like a recurring antagonist, like that could have been leading into an arc in Mistral, where there could have been like an underground, I guess you could say, Assassin's Guild or like an underground, um, like I guess you could say pin for weapons as well as dust being sold illegally. And Roman could actually be the one after the fall of Beacon who could have been leading that entire operation, which would then lead into Neo being there, which could have resulted in them actually having to fight him. And of course, with it being Roman and Neo, they would escape. But that's one thing I would have done because it could have added more lore to an idea of like the underground that Crow had talked about, and that would have been kind of cool to actually be able to see more of that. Not only that, but Cinder said that she was from Mistral, and if she really is from Mistral, that could have explored more with her own character as well, and that would have been good to see Cinder kind of explore a place that she had at one time lived in. So it would have been a good way to go into the insight of her point of view and perspective of Mistral as to why she probably even joined Salem, and showing us the struggles of what Mistral had also been going through because she had stated in Volume 3 that Mistral had been going through damages and issues, but we don't even get to see that, which could have added to Cinder's character as a whole, which would have been a lot more interesting for her and could help us understand her character better, which is one of the biggest things that Ruby has a problem with, is trying to help characters be understood. Why they're doing what they're doing. It's one of the biggest flaws I think Ruby has, is that they don't work on that. So I would have focused more on Mistral being an actual place and probably even having some meaning behind it for Cinder's character, because seeing it through her eyes and her perspective I think would have been great. If it's official that she's from Mistral. Like I said, she said that, but we don't know that. We just have to go by what we've been told, basically. That's one of the biggest problems with Ruby as well. But I think that would have been great to see the characters explore, see like an underground black market, see Cinder's take on Mistral, maybe even lead into why she has this whole reason for wanting power and to be respected through having power. Maybe she lived in the poor regions of Mistral, and she felt powerless, and she felt that by having power she could change Mistral for the better, and she could feel that what Ozpin has done to Mistral made it worse. That would have been kind of a cool perspective. But, that's just some of the things that I would do. I mean, there would be like a lot more that I would do to change it, but it's just Mistral feels so dead because there wasn't enough time to be there, and even when there was, they were stuck in the cursed room for like 10 chapters in Volume 5. That room, I swear, is the devil. I mean, good God, you want to talk about purgatory? That room was purgatory. Good God. But yeah, I would change a lot of things, and I would probably use Cinder's character to really fix a lot of it, as well as Roman and Neo, because I think that could actually really do well too.
What is your favorite Disney movie? What is your favorite Disney movie? What is your favorite Disney song?
Um, what is my favorite Disney movie? It would actually have to be Alice in Wonderland, because the actual nightmare story is my favorite out of all of them. And I like the Alice in Wonderland movie, the cartoon version. I really like it. Favorite Disney song? I really don't have one, because I think a lot of them are. Well, no, I take that back. I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan. That one. I like that one. Because I'll make a man out of you. Ah, so good. Which Ruby character would you say is the most like their fairy tale counterpart? Oh, I can tell you right now who is the least like it. Robin Hill. Good God, do I hate Robin Hill. But in terms of who would be most like their fairy tale counterpart, that's a good question. Because it's definitely not Ruby. It's definitely not Weiss. It's definitely not Blake. It's definitely not Yang. A character I would have said that would have been close to it had they worked around it somehow would have been Cinder, in terms of her having the glass heels. But here's the problem with that. We have no backstory, so I can't say that. Yeah, thanks, Rooster Teeth. Thanks, Miles and Carrie, for not working on her character because you hate her so much. Yeah, there's that. I wouldn't say Adam is. I mean, yeah, they're trying to throw it out there that Adam, is based off, the Beast, Beauty and the Beast, but I wouldn't even say he was really based off of that. I mean, he's not the most based off the character. I mean, that's the only thing about that, which is a problem. You can't say Neo because Neo's based off of ice cream. Roman is based off of a Clockwork Orange, so no. Um, I mean, what, Lionheart? I guess, considering he's based off of, the lion from Wizard of Oz, but then again, that's not really a fairy tale, so I guess you can't really count that either. Man, I don't know. That's actually insanely tough to think about. Who would be based off of who? I guess Penny, because when she lies, she hiccups, which is supposed to be in reference to Pinocchio, because whenever he grows out his nose, he's lying. So I guess Penny's the closest one. That's I mean that's my guess on that one. I mean I can't say that for certain. There might be somebody else that I might be forgetting, but yeah, Penny might be the closest one. That and I guess Geppetto, Petro or whatever, being based off Geppetto, I guess that'd be like the next closest one maybe. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of the characters. They may be based off inspirations of fairy tale characters, but man, there's not very many of them that are really close to their counterpart like at all. It's kind of weird, really. There's more of them that are not like their own character rather than ones that are. It's kind of hard to say. I guess Penny would be the closest, in my opinion, at least that I can think of. Which Ruby character would you say is the most different from their fairy tale counterpart? The most different. Now, that probably would result in being Cinder, now I think about it. Either A, it would be Cinder, or B, it would be Weiss, because, Weiss is based off of Snow White, but, she doesn't really fall into the whole thing with Snow White. I mean, yeah, her hair's white, but, yeah, it's different than that. She's not put under a slumber to where, she has to be awoken by a prince. Like she's very different from that. Of course, she had with her original outfit, which I think was the best design for Weiss. Her original outfit had the apple necklace, which was supposed to symbolize the apple that Snow White eats from. But yeah, no, I think that she's very different from her very own counterpart. So there's that. Cinder obviously is a villain. I mean, Cinderella was good. Cinder is evil. I'd say like the only thing that they really have in common with one another is the glass slippers, and that's about it. And even now, Cinder doesn't even wear those anymore. So yeah, I guess Cinder would probably be the character that's probably the most different from her own counterpart as well as Weiss. I think they'd probably be the two that would fit it, if anything. Which of those two characters is best? I take it you mean in terms of ones that are different or ones that are most like their fairy tale counterparts? Um, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, Penny has been made kind of adorable as a character, but I'm really salty that she's back. I don't know. I don't think they should have brought her back, which just harmed so much of the plot to Ruby in the first place. Weiss basically got shafted. Her own arc was literally replaced with political allegory, so can't say it's Weiss. Cinder's at least been successful one time, so God, it's between Cinder and Penny for me right now. I guess I would have to ultimately go with Cinder because, yeah, Cinder's failed a lot, but she did successfully plan out and, accomplish her goal of taking down Beacon, as well as gain the maiden powers. I don't know. There's just something about Cinder's character to me that stands out more in terms of which is better. A lot of people are going to disagree with that, and that's fine. No problem. It's just, I'm to the point where I'm just all for the antagonist characters now because the heroes keep winning, and I'm just so tired of them not having consequences to their actions. So at this point, I'm just really rooting for the antagonists because they just get treated the worst for the most part, and To me, they have more character, even though they're still very one-dimensional as characters, but they have more character than what Team Ruby has now at this point. So, yeah, Cinder, I guess, now, looking at it, is better. Wow. Up to that point. Wow. Alright. To that point where Cinder, who is extremely one-dimensional, which, I liked her character beforehand, but to the point where I'm comparing characters and I realize, oh man, Cinder, in my opinion, is better than the protagonist. Ooh. Wow. This is how bad the writers have gotten, in my opinion. Good God. That's... wow. If you could design and add any Grim into Ruby, what would it be like? Okay, now, I have talked about this before. This is something I would love to do, is a Tyrannosaurus Rex Grim. That if you get near it, your aura drops. And so it's like slowly depletes aura, just the closer you get to it. So the more you get closer to this Grim, the more your aura just continues to sink and plummet. And then if you get like right there, right at it, you're just practically losing all of your aura. Like, oh man, that would be so threatening for a Grim. And then it shoots eggs as a projectile from its mouth. And if the eggs miss their target and they break on something, they turn into like little raptors that attack. Oh, I think that'd be so cool. Like little swift grim raptors. Oh, that would be sick. That'd be one of the coolest things ever, I think. And they could like spew acid. Ah, that would be the coolest thing ever. That would be such a sick grim. Ah, man, now I want it to happen. But then I feel like they'd shaft that Grim as hard as possible, and then I'd be sad because it'd be like one of the coolest Grim ever, and then it just gets destroyed. Okay, maybe I don't want it to happen after all, because they would just destroy that Grim.
Do you have any plans for your second channel?
I do, but I just haven't actually worked on it. I've had plans to do something. There were some people saying that I should put reviews on that, like of different things, not just like Ruby, but like different reviews of different stuff, things on there. I might try to do that. That would be pretty cool if I did. So I wouldn't complain about that. That would be pretty cool. That'd be a pretty cool thing to do. Give some just reviews there. That I think that would be pretty nice. If there's anything you would want me to do with the second channel, just let me know, and I'll try to work out some time and put effort into it and do it. Like I do with this channel. So yeah.
What is your favorite Ruby YouTuber?
I don't know. That's a good question. I would probably have to say, if I had to say I had one, it might be Adelika. And I know there are some people that are thinking, wow, you like Adelika. I do. I don't mind him. There's a lot of people who really don't like his perspective or his point of view, but, I'm the kind of person who's like an edgy person naturally anyways. So, I fall to the idea of dark humor. But, I think he brings up some really good points, and he does a good job. Like, some people don't really care much for him, and hey, if you don't like him, you don't like him. I'm not gonna sit over here and convince anybody to like him or dislike him. That's totally up to your preference. But yeah, I don't think he's a bad dude. I think he does pretty good with his work, and he's not bad. He's good. I've watched him several times. Some of you have recommended him to me, and I checked him out and I thought, yeah, no, he's not a bad guy, at least in my opinion. Like I said, there are going to be some of you that are watching this that's going to disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine. Everybody has their own taste and preference. But yeah, no, I think Adelika is a pretty cool dude. Also, Reaper Cypher, I think he's good at what he does. I like him too. He's a cool dude. And as you all already know, or at least most of you probably already know by now, is that I was on his podcast and we had a good time. I mean, it was fun. I really enjoyed being there. The guy does good work. He really works hard on all the stuff that he makes. So yeah, I mean, I do like him as well. I mean, but hey, yeah, personal opinion. Everybody has their own. So, but yeah, I think he's a really cool dude. But yeah,
How was your day?
it was pretty good. Been working on this review that I had for earlier today since like what 3, 4 in the morning. So I've been up all day just working on videos and stuff. But yeah, I mean, doing pretty good. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Nothing wrong with it. Great time, man. Great time sharing my opinion with everybody, and yeah, getting a lot of that off my chest because I'll tell you, throughout the week, it was just irking me, and I needed to get my opinions of that chapter just out because it had been eating at me all week. It really had been. Oh man, it really had been. So, moving on to the next question, Supi Atata. I hope I said your name right there. But yeah, so his questions were: after that shit ending in Volume 7, do you feel burnt out after what they did to Neo? Yeah, I'm not gonna deny I do. It was one of the biggest things that really fueled me for this review. I mean, it wasn't just Neo. That was the issue with Chapter 12 and how they treated Neo. That wasn't the only problem. I mean, there were plenty. I've already talked about it. But, like, my god, just nerfing Neo. The damage is done. She got hit by a damn farm boy, which made absolutely no sense whatsoever. I mean, that's more insulting, which this was insulting enough as it was, but it's more insulting than when Adam was hit by Blake. At least Blake is somebody that's been trained a little bit. But still, that was a terrible nerf to Adam's character. That was disrespectful and insulting when that happened to Adam. And then to see this happen to, Neo, which is even worse, that she was hit by a farm boy who had little to no experience, period, in terms of fighting. Oh my dear God, just, ugh. I don't know how the writers aren't fired for their bad writing. I don't. I don't understand how you would keep people like that keep constantly writing terribly there. I don't know why you wouldn't fire them. I mean, if they're doing bad for your business, you naturally would fire somebody if they're not improving. If they continue to keep doing the same thing and they keep doing bad, you would think, hey, fire them, replace them with someone better. I am surprised that these writers have not been fired and replaced by now. It's one of the most ridiculous things I think I've ever seen. And yeah, this really has burnt me out a lot. I have been really burnt out by this volume. It's been nothing but disappointment after disappointment, in my opinion. Also, if you don't mind, do you think the copy and paste of every single behavior since what they did to Adam in Volume 5, i.e., angry yet whiny and resort to stupid things only to fail? I can count at least 3 or 4 so far. Robin Hill, Watts, angry over promotion issue or some shit, Cinder, and sadly even Ironwood when you see him yelling frustration. Yeah, it's like they tried to paint the characters as they're just like overly dramatic for drama's sake. And it's like the characters just don't have their own characteristic. It's like they don't know how to make a character an actual individual character. It's like everybody has to be copy paste of one another. It's like they're the same thing. And I just think to myself, do you not know the difference between one character and another? It's not hard to write that, really. It's not hard to write a character with different personality traits than another. Not every character is going to sit here and react the same way that another character does to things because characters are supposed to be different. It's like people. People interact with things differently than other people are going to. Just because myself, for example, would react one way doesn't mean another person is going to react the same way that I reacted. So, yes, I'm tired of it. It's like the same hive mind mindset, and oh god, I'm tired of it. Also, another one, and entirely optional. After Bumblebee wins again through stupidity and Yang repeated her stupid lines, are you not looking forward to them facing Neo? Oh, I don't want to see it at all. The reason why is because they're going to have Blake and Yang win through virtue signaling. They're going to basically say that, oh, look, they're the good guys, so they have to win, so they have to beat Neo, despite the fact that Neo is definitely stronger than they are. And it's going to be something stupid like that, and I'm just going to sit over here and just think to myself, like, good God, there's going to be like another nerf. It's going to be like the Adam fight where they nerfed Adam just so Blake and Yang could beat him. And talk about me being tired of that. Like, if you want your characters to be strong enough to beat characters that are strong, make them strong. Have them train and actually work their way up to being that strong so they can counteract that character. Don't just nerf the opposing character that's stronger than the said character you're wanting to beat that stronger character to their level. No, you have to make the other characters get stronger. And to see Neo, if she does get beaten by Blake and Yang, oh, good God, you better believe I'd be furious. We definitely don't need another Adam treatment, and basically Cinder is getting the Adam treatment, so I'm already getting mad enough over that. If they do the same thing to Neo, oh my dear God, just the divine rant will come forth if that happens. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, you thought I was mad enough about Neo getting punched in the face? Just imagine if they do that to Neo. It's gonna be worse. It's gonna be worse. Ugh. But yeah, good questions. Good questions. Foster Jaeger asks, for January's Q&A, do you believe in the supernatural? If so, have you had any supernatural events in your life or anyone you know? Actually, yeah. Yes, I have. So, my grandmother, she used to live in an old Civil War home. And I would go visit her on the weekends. And when I would go visit her, the house had a really kind of strange aura if you went into her bedroom. It was very cold at all times. Didn't matter. Even if you had the heat on, it was always cold in there. So after a few years with some weird events, because the closet was the coldest in that entire room. Like, the whole room itself was naturally cold. It was very weird. The closet was the coldest. So after a few years of my grandmother living there, she decided she wasn't going to sleep in that room anymore because she just had weird experiences where the covers would always be taken off of the bed very nicely. After she would wake up in the middle of the night, she would feel that somebody had been taking the covers off of her. And so it had been very strange. So I decided that a friend of mine and I, we were going to stay in that room one night. And she said, oh yeah, be my guest. Go ahead and give it a try, So we were watching TV and we fell asleep in the room. And so I put the remote on the table right next to the bed. And so after I'd done this, because I turned the TV off, the TV turns on by itself. And I asked my friend if he did it. And he was like, no. He's like, did you? And I was like, no. And so the TV is just fuzzy. Now, of course, it had a natural picture at first. You could see what you were watching, but it was all static. So that was strange. So then, after that had happened, we're sitting here watching this like, well, this is really weird. So, this is just one of the most unexplainable things. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this before. But it goes from static to showing like what looked like human organs being shuffled around. And my friend and I freaked out. And as we got up to leave the room, it shifted on the screen again to what looked like a skull. And you want to talk about me believing in the supernatural? That did it. That did it. If I had not believed in it before, I believed in it then. And we ran out of that room. We did not go in there for the rest of the night. It was the scariest thing that has ever happened in terms of a supernatural thing in that room. And so then, of course, my grandmother, she had a boyfriend at one time, and he had, gotten injured, and she was tending to him when he was working out in the yard. And so he sat on the bed. And so she walks out of the room, she comes back in, and he says, yeah, I think I found your ghost, because right next to him, the bed itself, it was kind of like bent down as if somebody was sitting on the spot right next to him. And it's one of the weirdest things that we had ever heard of. And, we just were like, that house is haunted no matter what. Like, we were just coming down to the conclusion that place is haunted, because that is one of the most unexplainable things that I've ever seen. It was insane. It's, like I said, one of the most unexplainable things I could ever even say happened. It's bizarre to this very day. But that is a supernatural experience I have had. So, now, going on to Bubonic Plague. Bubonic asks, question for the Q&A, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty well. A little tired, but, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well yourself. And if you create an anime show and it's guaranteed to have multiple seasons, what would you create? Now, to tell you the truth, I would love to do that. And I would do it basically based off of a fictional world. And I already have ideas as to how I would do it. Thing is, I don't really want to spoil anything because, you know, I might want to, be working on that. You get what I mean? But I would at least try to make it at least 12 to 24 episodes long for like a first season, so there would at least be some, time to have everybody in terms of the audience actually get used to the characters as well as try to understand a bit of the world and a bit of how everything works, because that's one of the biggest things is you gotta, get people to understand the setting, the characters, everything you're trying to do. And it's something that I would heavily work on. And I do have a project that I'm working on, and when I get closer to time to revealing what that is, but we're way off, so don't expect it any time in the near future. But I do have some plans. There are some plans here and there in the future for things. So, when we get closer to that project, I'll explain what I have planned. But in terms of making my own series, I would try to at least make sure that if I was doing an anime, like a length of certain amount of episodes, make sure to give the characters character. Have them go through arcs, or at least maybe one specific character or two. Of course, building up and establishing the world itself, because that's always an important thing, establishing what the rules are within that world and setting them. Because, you gotta have rules, and, you can't be like Ruby to where you break those rules all the time. But I would do something fictional. I would do something that would be kind of in the fantasy aspect as well as adventure. I would have some comedy in it as well. It would definitely be action, because action is something I really do fiercely enjoy. So that would be like another big thing that I would be doing with it as well if, I had my own anime. So you at least understand the genre, because I don't want to give away ideas of things, but yeah, you kind of at least understand the genre of what I would be going for if I did make my own series. But yeah, but very good question. So yeah, well, this was the Q&A for January of 2020. I hope all of you enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section down below. And also you can leave them in Discord. So if you're part of the Discord, you can private message me them. Or you can join the Discord, which is in the link in the description down below, for any updates or anything of that sort, to let you know what's going on in terms of events or anything like that, or when the newest videos are coming up. Also, I'll be back again on Tuesday. I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow can always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.